Welcome to the Women of Soul Aligned Business Podcast. I'm Joe Che. I'm here with Lori Ferri, founder of Lori Ferri Growth Company, host of the Inner Struggle podcast. She's an author and a mental health advocate. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we were talking before, some of the things that you're really excited to share, especially around women building their businesses in the first year, is some of the daily habits, not sitting in scarcity mindset, and how your personal growth is really a foundation for your business growth. And I really resonate with those topics, and I resonate with a lot of your core values that we were speaking about earlier around building that community and connection, and this idea that when we're really in a soul aligned business, it's a really strong mirror to our personal self, right? So I'd love for you to share, what does that mean to you? This idea of your personal growth and your business growth is very tied together.
Yeah. So one thing, as I was actually building these businesses simultaneously alongside each other, and then everything sort of just came together because really who you are is how you lead. So who you are as a person, the way you treat other people, the way you communicate, the way you process the information, all of that is so intertwined. You are along in your personal growth journey, the better leader you can be for your team, for your business, and beyond all the relationships in your life, right? So where you are as a person has so much to do with everything around you, and that it's like a ripple effect.
It's so true. What are some of the suggestions that you would have in building that sort of personal growth so that you can be in more ease and more flow in your business?
When I start with a business owner, generally it feels weird because they're scrambling, and you probably encounter the same thing. They're grasping at things, they're grinding, they're trying to get the most out of their day, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but it's really how we approach it. So the first thing I would say is take space, really, because you can't find out what's inside without being still for a moment. And that ties in with the daily habits too, that really I didn't start until I both feed in on my business, because before I wasn't in that headspace. And now when you can actually take that time for yourself, it makes a huge difference. Your creativity is generating and flowing, as well as any like ideas, the way that you interact with the employees around you, or if you don't have any employees, it could be your children. I have three children, or your partner, or anything like that. So taking space, I think, is the number one thing.
Is that a space just to calm your nervous system when things get tough? Or are you talking about like I teach a lot on the daily habits of making sure you're doing your affirmations, move your body in a way that feels good, whether some people will just find something, whether that's working
Yeah,
out or just shaking in the morning, doing a dynamic meditation or more like that?
all of it, I think. Because when you take the time for yourself to pour into your own cup, it spills out. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I'm a single mom, so I kind of connect with women in that regard, because I heard recently there's no one that works harder than a single mom that's, trying to do it all. The more space that you take for yourself, so whether it's daily habits in the morning, I'm always doing my affirmations, my visualization, my meditation, movement, reading and writing, and all of that. But what kind of flipped the switch for me was walking outside. And that's like in the middle of the day. So after the morning kind of craziness, I decided, and it was the middle of winter, there was 6 inches of snow on the ground. And I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I have to just be in myself. And I started walking in the woods every day. Not really far, and it was cold, but it changed everything for me. Just taking that space outside a little bit. And I know not everyone is an outside person, but there is something special that happens in nature without a doubt. So any kind of space like that. And like you said, there's all sorts of exercise or movement that you can do during your meditation too, in that meditative state. If sitting there in silence is not your thing, maybe dancing is your thing, or maybe shaking, as you said, because I've done a lot of somatic work and stuff like that too.
I think that's very important. I've noticed that my anxiety levels go up, my depression levels go up. If I'm not moving my energy, I actually can't get as much done. If I get out of those habits, those visualizations, affirmations, which sometimes life will take you out of them. And I think it's a important reminder not to be too harsh about the habits. Like get your habits, get your discipline, and leave yourself space. If you get off a little bit, just be kind and loving with yourself. And that's going to really feed into that business, especially if it's a soul aligned one. This idea that you're doing something that's really meaningful to you, that's in service to others. And it feels like that's what you're doing. So we have this sort of taking care of self, especially if you are a single mother or a family and you have a lot of energy and a lot of people needing your attention. Taking that space to yourself is very important for your business. I know that you also have worked with many people, helping them with some of the more practical structures of business, things like the bookkeeping, creating standard operating procedures. This is one of the first things when I'm doing mentorships to help women build these businesses is we set those up first, really, the project management systems, etc. I'm curious if there's any technology that you would advise to people to kind of start with in their journey as they're building their business on their own. What should they be focusing on as far as the back end, the technology?
Yeah, when we were talking just a few minutes earlier, it's kind of funny because I meet small business owners and I'm super passionate about small business. I think it's just amazing. It's really just something very special to me that I've worked in since I was 18 years old, honestly. It's funny when you approach, a new business and they're like, "Yeah, I'm doing all of these things, but nothing's organized." So that's how it kind of started was I'm just a very organized person, whether it's in bookkeeping or finding some software to help you. As we said, technology can sometimes be intimidating. And as a business owner, you've got 18 million different things that you're trying to create in front of you. And mind you, it's not even the thing that you love to do or why you wanted to do that. It's all the others, the bullshit, that you have to put together in order to build your business. So, one thing I would say that is the most important and vital and kind of switch things for me is some sort of like project management software. So, whether it's just you or whether it's a team, getting organized with tasks and what needs to be done is probably the most important thing. I used Microsoft To Do, which you can share, among your team and things like that. And I think it comes along with your Microsoft license, so there's really no excuse not to have it, to use. But since then, I've actually, for probably about a year now, have been using Asana with my team. And then I use that for all of my clients too, because it's a little bit more robust, say, than a Microsoft To Do. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but
Yeah.
you can make different projects lists and then assign things to different people, or they have due dates on them. I use that for all of my social media content as well, putting that in there, communicating with my team. And then for my clients too, they're like, this is great. And they adopt that into their system as well, even if I'm just doing social media management or something like that for a business. So I find Asana, that's kind of my number one lifesaver, really, in business, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing that I'm helping people get set up is I'll actually set up a template for them and then help them fill it out. Then they can, because once it's kind of set up, it's very project management to use. It's like add a task, rearrange, drag and drop. I use a bunch of different ones. I have used Asana quite a bit over the years because I was teaching project management in New York City for 18 years. So
Okay.
I've seen it from the very beginning to now, and it's honestly it hasn't changed all that much, quite frankly. And some of them are going a little backwards. I've been using a lot in Notion actually because I find that people who are not particularly super tech savvy, it's really easy because it's like you can do lots of little things and it's very easy to create websites and wikis and so on. And it kind of has everything in once. And those are more tech savvy. I've usually been using ClickUp.
Okay.
I found it starting to get a little expensive after a while. I think once we started asking or adding a bunch of seats, but maybe you got a good trick for that. I don't know.
I don't know because it hasn't changed from the beginning. So I'm not sure what I'm doing, but And especially, because you go into a business or something and you're helping somebody and they got like this was me 10 years ago. It's like a million sticky notes all over their desk. I got to do that. You categorize them, and really good habits about kind of cleaning off your desk at the end of the day and deciding what's first priority in the morning, things like that. And Asana can like hold that all for you, or any kind of tool like that. And the fact that you can share it together is really important, because no matter what, at some point you're going to recruit, whether it's a contractor or someone, if you hire a coach or something like that, you can share all of those things together so that you're on the same page.
Yeah, and any project management system, it's just finding the one that feels good. I think they all
Yeah.
work. If you're using any of them, you're in great shape. I just actually had mentorship this morning, and it's like no project management system, and she's feeling very overwhelmed a lot. And there's no sort of like the email, there's no email funnels or anything with the emails to collect, and it's a dangerous position. What I realize, especially for me, or if you're neurodivergent or ADHD, the more that we hold in our mind, the actual less space we have to accomplish things. And we tend to do the things that like come up immediately, like, oh, I gotta remember to call the kids' school to schedule this thing for next month. If you're trying to hold that in your head, it's actually getting in the way of doing what you really should be doing, those high priority items. And once we get that task list, we can look at it every day or every couple days, and we just got 3 things on our plate. That's it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
recommend only try to do a couple things a day, and then make sure that the high priority things that actually lead to income or lead to serving your clients, and make sure you're doing those. Because I don't know about you, but it's very easy for me to get distracted with all the little messages and all the little fires that come up that you're running and putting them out, when in reality they're not really doing much for your business.
Right. Yeah. Same. I think it's hard because and when you have something pop up in front of you, you're reacting to it. So one thing that I've done recently is put my phone on do not disturb all day. I have my kids numbers are able to come through. So if there's an emergency or they need me, that's fine. But everybody else, I don't need to be looking. I can check it once an hour or once every couple hours. I don't need it in my face all the time, especially when you're trying to focus on a particular task. So I find that to be, helpful as well.
How do you know what you're going to do during your day? This is a question that I get because people like, do you look at your project management system every morning, or that before the night? Do you plan the night before? What's your sort of flow?
Yeah. So generally, I plan it the night before, and I'm constantly auditing the list because I might have to move something to the next day, or "But this doesn't make sense. Let me address this next week when I have less meetings or what have you." So generally, before I am done for the day, whether, depending on our schedules with being a business owner and a mom, I have flexibility, which is a beautiful thing. And that was the reason that I did that, for freedom, so that I could be present for them and then also build a business that was sustainable. And so whether my end of the day is 4 or 9, depending on if they're here or not or whatever, I'm kind of going through my Asana list and deciding, okay, like which one takes priority. I'll reassign those if I need to a different day. Because let's be honest, there's always more to do than you have hours for in a day, right? But we just have to allocate it differently. Then maybe I can pass that off to somebody. I've recruited my kids to help me with some things too, because I'll
Oh,
do
amazing.
local like classes and things. And I'm like, can you fill these folders in for me or put these stickers on these folders? Whatever you can delegate. And they're happy to help be a part of it. So,
I don't have any kids to put the stamps on the envelopes, but maybe that's a good reason.
yeah.
So you're also a podcast host. You're also an author. What feels exciting to talk about out of those two?
Well, I guess I can kind of touch on it because it all relates together. About 9 years ago, I had an upheaval in my life. My mother passed away unexpectedly. I had had my youngest daughter, and I was losing this job that I absolutely loved. And didn't I didn't know who I was anymore. And so I just started writing. And that came from that was the My Inner Struggle blog. And I was just sort of documenting my personal growth process. I just didn't know who I was anymore. And then that I have continued to do through divorce and dating and all of this stuff, job loss, building my business, and all of that. It's all in there. There's almost 300 blogs, I think. And then for the past, it took about 6 years, I finished my book. Here, I'll hold it up. This Is It an Open Bar? And it is my personal growth journey. So it's the blog, but everything essentially from childhood, dealing with childhood trauma on through adulthood and kind of dealing with not really loving myself, and then my spiritual awakening, and then coming out to present. And then about a year and a half ago, I started the My Inner Struggle podcast, which is all everything kind of in the same zone as everything personal growth, business, and lifestyle. And it's really been a cool journey, all of it, sharing my personal growth journey, tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, or information that I found, books that I've read, and then also just connecting with other women and business owners on their own personal growth journey. So it's really been like a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's kind of crazy to talk about it in this sense, but it's like it's been this evolution, and here it is, like especially with the book, it's the whole evolution. And I just started writing my next book actually a couple months ago.
Wow.
So yeah.
Very prolific. 6 years. I mean, I remember when I first started I never thought I could write a book, diagnosed severe ADHD. And I remember having this limiting belief I remember in high school, they're going to fail me for high school because I hadn't done my papers. I installed this idea in my mind because I couldn't stay focused and was struggling for
Yeah.
the papers. And I installed this limiting belief in myself around probably 17, 18, that I could never write a book. And I held that for my entire life. And then like, I can't focus, I can't write a book, I'm too ADHD, etc. And it's just such an example of sometimes we install these beliefs that aren't true. And it took me about a year and a half, almost 2 years to finish it. And it took a while, and I needed a little help at some point. I had to ask for some help. Um, but it felt good to do something that you thought you could never do. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a lot of business in life will bring us there. And sometimes that's where actually our biggest growth is in those things that are uncomfortable to do.
Actually, that is right. So, in the opening line of my podcast, I always say, "Come get uncomfortable with me," because that is where you grow in those uncomfortable spaces. And I think mine took a long time because it was still evolving. So, the end of it is like when I was relaunching my business, essentially, when I left a full time job and bet on myself and just moved forward, took this great leap of faith in myself and never looked back. It's been kind of incredible. And I have to say, you finishing a book and navigating that limiting belief all of those years, congratulations to you, because that is incredible. And there are so many people that I meet too. You probably do too, that they're like, oh, I have ADHD. I can't do that. I can't focus. There are so many tools and methods out there to help you, because I have the same. I cannot focus some days, and those are the days I know I shouldn't be at my desk because I'm just going to be spinning my wheels.
Yeah. It's like something that brings you joy is
Yes.
definitely a
Yeah.
better option. All right, so come get uncomfortable with me. I like this. Let's try it a little bit, which is okay. So in business, what is the mistake that you keep making over and over again,
That's an interesting one. I don't know. The same mistake that I keep making over and over again.
or something that feels a little uncomfortable to talk about?
I think sometimes for me, I have trouble. It's a lack of confidence in putting my services out there, right? I don't like salespeople. I don't want to be pressured. So I never want to make somebody else feel that way. So everything I do, I lead with authenticity. I'm generally that laid back sales guy that's like, yeah, go check it out. I'll be here when you're ready. But sometimes people really need that push. And that's uncomfortable for me, is trying not to be overly pushy, but to encourage them. And sometimes they need that nudge, to get the ball rolling. So I would say finding that balance between the nudge and pushing in like a sales space, I would say, is kind of interesting. But the more confidence I build in every new layer, I find that it's getting easier and easier. But I would say it's probably the hardest thing for me right now.
That's a big one. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I struggle with that too. It's like you don't want For me, I actually don't want to try to push someone into something if I know it's not going to actually be useful to them. And if it
Right.
is, it's like, hey, I think this is going to be really useful to you. I actually believe it because I don't want to work with someone and take their money if I literally can't give them something of great value.
I agree. And I've definitely kind of, I don't want to say fired, but have let go of clients before, especially when I was first kind of putting this all together. They would come into my office and they would just start like complaining for like an hour. And I had to kind of say, like, I'm not a therapist. I'm here to help you move forward. So let's figure out the things that we can do to move forward. And when you're ready, come back. I'm here for you when you're ready. And it's not always well received, but I think it's necessary in their own growth too, just to look like, okay, maybe I'm not ready yet, or maybe I need to be ready to get there. Because I think that you should push yourself. There are certain things I made a video about it yesterday, and it was like there's never going to be a perfect time for anything. So sometimes you just need to jump in and do it. Be a robot for a little bit until it becomes, second nature or a habit.
A lot of people have some blocks of just being seen online, talk about what they're doing and what they're offering. That can be really hard because you want to come from an authentic space and not a sales space or that scarcity mindset that we were mentioning earlier. And you do need to get out there. If people don't know what you're doing and don't know what you're offering, then they don't even know if it's for them or not, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
sometimes some of the people I'm mentoring challenges to just say, I want you to show up for at least 10 seconds on social media every day or in a public space. And not even because I think it's going to do some major shifts for them. It actually shifts the confidence and the comfortability level. And sometimes the best way to get comfortable with something is just keep doing it. That's it. Simple. And don't even
Yeah.
try to make it great. Don't even it doesn't have to be good. Just do it every
Just show up.
day. Just show up. And what happens naturally is you just get so much better. But anytime you do anything over and over again, you just get better. You can't even help it. Even if you're not trying to get better, if you show up to the gym and just lift weights and don't try to get better, you're still going to get better, right? You're
Right.
still going to get
Yeah, you're
healthier.
right.
But it's the same for your business. Is like show up for your business, show up for yourself, and especially, and I keep telling people, do something you really love. Do it because if you really love doing it, you're going to be showing up for it. And if you hate to doing it, like go find something else that you love. Don't spend your whole life sitting behind a desk working for someone that you hate, doing something that you hate. There might be more than one life, but for sure there's probably this one. So, and from a philosophical standpoint, so it's like make it yours, do something you care about.
I agree. Yeah. I don't understand. Like, I guess it doesn't equate to me to staying in a space that you don't love because there are so many, and even if you have no interest in starting your own business, there are so many jobs out there doing something different that could be fulfilling for you. You just have to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's available. I was teaching this concept called Ikigai around the world for many years, this reason for being. And I realized it wasn't really the right questions. I ended up spending like a year and a half creating this whole framework to uncover your soul purpose. And it's like, what I've found is that everyone has something that they're just like lit up on and can make money every time. There's none that we haven't been able to find through this process, something that they're like, oh my God, I can do that. I can create spaces for women to speak to each other and support money on that. Like, you're doing that. What a cool space to be in service of that. And I know that you have the Self Love Club, I believe it's called, right?
Yeah.
So spaces like this are really beautiful, and you can come into it and be of service and create community, create a space for expansion and growth. I've done the same thing, and it always just like nourishes me to be in these spaces, to facilitate at these retreats and summits and on stages. And people come up and you're like, wow, you really impacted my life, my family. It's like, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything different now. And it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. And that's how you know that you are in your soul aligned business. Laura, I really appreciate you being with us. And for those listening, we both answer our messages personally. interested in helping build your business, reach out. If you need to uncover your soul purpose, reach out. If you want to be in the self love club, reach out to Laura. I'm gonna put the everything in the show notes, but I'm just gonna read them real quick. Also, on Instagram. Laura's at My Inner Struggle. It's for Instagram, and it's lauraferri.com, LauraFerri.com. And just feel free to reach out. We do this because we care about people and we want to see them expand and grow in their businesses. So, love to hear from you if anyone resonates. And thank you, Laura, for being with us today.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone, have a great night. Enjoy.